call roll to confirm a quorum.
Councilmember Abdel-Gawad.
Here.
Councilmember Boehner.
Present.
Councilmember Holman.
Present.
Councilmember Hubach.
Present.
Councilmember Kellogg.
Present.
Councilmember Moorhead.
Present.
Councilmember Stevens.
Present.
Councilmember Westcoat.
Present.
Mayor Kirkhoff.
Present, we do have a quorum. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no presentations or awards tonight. We do have a personal appearance from Mike and Peggy Phillips of 608 Lorraine. If you'd like to come to the podium, you've got 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Okay, we'll be quick. Okay, we actually, there we go, we have some pictures. We're here tonight because we live right down here in Ward 2, and we have a couple concerns about some things going on in our neighborhood. And first of all, we would personally like to thank Ryan Westcoat for being super available to us all the time, and he's probably regretting it. But thank you, Ryan, because he's always available, as Derek Moorhead, our from Ward 2, our council members who are always very helpful. And so, Ryan, thank you for helping us get to the right people and who to call and what to do about this. We've never been to council meeting, and we've been to meetings, but we have not ever come to speak. We are very concerned about our neighborhood. We have lived in Raymore for 20 years. We love Raymore, but we are very concerned about particularly our neighborhood, how it is changing. There are some things in our neighborhood that have taken place recently. We have a neighbor that lives directly behind us, super nice people, love them. Unfortunately, they decided to build a little structure in their backyard, and I think you all have some pictures of that. Okay, we want the council to consider changing the code, okay? We do not think that the current code for building, I don't know what you call it, ancillary structure or something like that. We're not even really sure what it is. We think it might be a playhouse to the best of our knowledge. He is a pastor, so it kind of looks like a little church. It could be a shed, it could be a combination. And he started building this last week, and we became concerned when we saw how wobbly the structure was. It fell over one time. And then as he continued building it, it became larger and larger and larger, okay? We have a 6-foot fence, and the pictures that you're gonna look at are that structure behind our fence. And we also threw in some pictures of some of our neighbors in our shed to show you what maybe like the average shed or playhouse looks like. This is not your average shed or playhouse. It is, to the best of our knowledge, 14, what do you think?
14 feet high.
14 feet high, probably.
And it's within 10 feet of our fence.
It's in with 10 feet of our fence. We've already had one issue personally where we had somebody's property, a tree fall on our property where we were responsible for all the damage, even though it was their tree. So with the storms we get out here and stuff, you know, so then we got to thinking, you know, what are the regs on these structures that you can build? They already have some other things in their yard, and they have kids, so I'm assuming it might be a 2-story. It's definitely 2-story, whatever it is. So we want you to look at those codes because Ryan helped us. We called last Thursday and talked to Jim Cataract, and he was very helpful. He sent John Warner. Yes. John drove by to look at it, and then when we talked to Jim again, they actually did go inspect the structure. What we found out was that in Raymore, you can build anything you want in your backyard under 120 square feet, don't have to really abide by anything, and it cannot exceed the height of your house or the primary structure.
What I don't know is that if you can build multiple things like this in your backyard, is there a limit?
No, there isn't.
So that's what I'm concerned about. That, and we contacted with real estate people came and looked and said that having that structure right behind our property would affect the value of our property.
Very negatively. They
Very
said
negative.
definitely would have a negative impact on the value of the property. This is our concern, our neighborhood. Again, it's one of the older neighborhoods in Raymore. It's not one of the newer ones. So people, you know, have kind of moved. We've been there probably longer than most of them, I think. I just wish that we had some guidelines,
Some uniformity.
guidelines of what you can build, what type of bracing it needs. I don't know anything about building, but I know that we watched it be put up, we watched it go down, we watched it be put back up, and so we're just concerned about it. Okay.
And we have one more thing.
Some of the pictures, just so you know, you can see this from the street. If you could drive down our street and it looked like every other shed or house, that would be cool. It does not, okay? It definitely stands out. It's over at 607 Maple. If that is helpful. This isn't the first time we actually have had an issue. I think some of you will remember this issue. We just wanted to bring this up tonight. That also on our street, we have 2 neighbors that moved in that happen to be cousins, and they have little kids. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you know, when they first put up the signs, they put up these signs on either side of the street, 18 inches from the street, so it is on the easement, that says cousin crossing, okay? Cute. We all have kids, we love it, right? Here's what happens. Look at the skid marks. The trucks go down the street, the cars go slam on their brakes, they think it's a road sign. Every day we hear school buses, trash trucks, cars. Luckily, the guy that put it up has run into his own sign 3 times. But anyway, it's another thing that, I don't know, we don't have a homes association, so we you know, maybe, so we're here tonight to ask you to at least take a look at that code, see if it's a good thing, because what's to stop them from building 2 more or 3 more? We don't think it fits into the neighborhood. If it just kind of blended in, it would be no big deal. And I know that down on Sunset, somebody built a freestanding garage. That concerns my neighbors more than me. That doesn't concern me as much, but I know that there are a lot of people in our neighborhood talking about, why do they just keep, you know, letting them do that? So,
You know, and we have a storage shed in the back corner of our property, and the neighbor next to us, everyone has a storage shed that they put out there, but they're all small, and I think just some uniformity and what people can do and can't build in their backyards, and how many they can do and where they can do it, I think needs to be addressed.
Okay.
And we thank you for your time.
any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will move on to staff reports.
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Jim Cataret to make a report for community development.
Thank you. 3 items tonight. First, just to go over the upcoming schedule of meetings. The Planning and Zoning Commission will have a full agenda at their meeting tomorrow evening. They have 4 items to consider. The first is to establish a city zoning classification for Lot 1 of Willow Hills, which the city recently annexed into the corporate limits, but when we annex property, it does need to go through the rezoning process to establish a city zoning classification. Second on the agenda, we have a request for a conditional use permit for a senior living facility proposed by Hunt Midwest in their area to the southwest of where their townhomes are located. This facility would actually be accessed off of the East Outer Road, but a senior living facility does require a conditional use permit. Third, there is a request for a replat of the land that would be to the south and to the west of the Culver's Restaurant. There is a project going on that would relocate part of a city water main, and so we need to move and establish easements and vacate some existing easements as part of that project. And the fourth item would be the proposed 20th Amendment to the UDC. It'd be regarding a new chapter in the UDC to establish stormwater treatment requirements. Then on August 12th, our Board of Adjustment does have a case. They have a request for a variance that they will be considering that evening. Secondly, I just want to remind council, the public, any interested parties of the work session that will be held next Monday, the 21st. And this is on the stream bumpers. So I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And finally, just to remind everyone, there is a project in process regarding the West End renovations. You may have seen it's created a little bit of an inconvenience for your meeting this evening. That will be a short-term project, should be completed by September 1st, probably before that. But that is the project that establishes a customer service counter area for both the engineering division and community development division. So we apologize for the temporary inconvenience. Hopefully, the end result will be an area that will serve the public better than what we've had in years past. So that concludes my items. Thank you.
Questions of staff? Councilmember Moorhead?
Mr. Carteret, and you don't need to respond, especially with the frog in your throat. But obviously, in light of what Mr. and Mrs. Phillips said, I know that on planning and zoning, when I was served on there, that during the summertime, we tended to look for things to review, especially with the the adjustments to the UDC. Is this something that, do you think this would be a viable topic? And could this be kind of thrown into the mix? No urgency, because I know there's always lots to review, but if that could be added for P&Z to take a look at, that'd be great.
Absolutely will, yes.
Councilmember Kellogg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And also on that lines too, with what the neighbors has showed us tonight with their pictures and that, has staff been aware of the sign that's been erected, the Caution Cousins crossing?
Yes, I believe that topic has been discussed previously, yes.
Is that something that's, it seems like it resembles a caution sign of regulatory nature. Is that something that is allowed? I mean, I would think that there would fall underneath the guidelines of like our temporary signs, like our political signs and such like that. I'd think that we would be able to regulate that and have that removed, because they've shown some pretty good evidence here with the skid marks out in the street of people being confused, and I see that as a safety hazard there. Can we look into that? I see Mr. Westcoat's hand up too.
Councilmember Westcoat?
Doesn't this actually fall under a road sign, and don't we have complete control over what road signs are erected within our city?
There is some history with this sign that staff would like to review and get back with you, because given the photo, the sign's outside of the right of way, I believe. So it's on private property. But this
Right.
This has come up from time to time,
And I
we'd like to
understand
do
with
a
it
little
being
more
on
research.
private property, but because it actually is the same shape and color of a regulatory, like Councilmember Kellogg said, sign, then don't we have discretion over whether or not we actually can allow it? I mean, you know, I can't erect a traffic light in the middle of my yard. I don't know why I would want to, but at the same time, there's certain prohibitions against doing things like that.
We'd like some time to review
Fair
the
enough.
history of that and then follow up with you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hubach?
I just wanted to jump into what these two gentlemen are talking about, saying that out in our area where there are 5-acre tracts and we have long driveways, almost every one of our little driveways carries the name on it. So you'll have to consider that when you start making some of these other changes too.
Mr. Fearborn?
Thank you, sir. I'll ask Mr. John Kennedy to make a report for Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Good evening. To start, I'd kind of like to first thank everybody that participated in the city's 4th of July celebration. I think it was an overwhelming success. The weather was absolutely perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
For the record, that's, my wife is in charge of the weather.
She told me next year she would handle
Oh,
it.
okay.
But at any rate, it was a lovely evening. I was really happy with the fireworks shooters that we had. It was a new company, so you never really know what you're gonna get. And I think they did an excellent job. They were very professional and great to work with. The police department, the fire department, emergency management, we could not do this without their help and assistance. These guys really come to work and do way beyond what I would call the call of duty, because I know this takes it away from their family and friends and events that they plan. So again, thank you all very much, and look forward to next year. Just a reminder, July is National Parks and Recreation Month. We do have a calendar online. We invite everyone to go to raymore.com, Parks and Recreation, and take a look at that and participate in some of the activities and events that we've put forth. The farmers market, last week, again, we had great weather, a decent crowd, and every booth except for 3 was full. We've never had that many exhibitors, vendors at the site. It was great to see, and I look forward to see if they all come back this week. Oh, by the way, July 22nd, which is tomorrow, is Farmers Market, and we have some kids' games and sweet treats for the kids, and maybe some of the older kids too, if you'd like. Okay, the disc golf course. He got it. Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. July 15th is tomorrow. I've lost total track of it. Oh, disc golf. The baskets have arrived, and starting this Friday, we will be installing the front 9 out at Recreation Park. We're going to set all the sleeves for the first 9 holes, and then hopefully by Monday, after that concrete cures out, we will be setting all the baskets for the front 9. So bring your discs, and if you don't have any, we have some you can borrow at Parks and Recreation, and come out and take a walk in the park, and it's fun. It really is. Fall sports leagues, registration is now open. So if you're interested in flag football, soccer, volleyball, both competitive, and a new program, recreational baseball, we will be offering those for this fall, and registration is now open for those sports. Really, that's about all I have. Other than the fact that if you see some action out at Recreation Park and a big backhoe, we're cleaning out the pond out at Recreation Park, trying to get rid of all the algae and some of the problems we have associated with that. So maybe a little bit of smell, but hopefully we'll get it out of there, and we'll get a good rain to wash all that away too. Any questions you might have?
Questions of staff? Councilmember Westcoat?
Not a question, but just a comment. I was very impressed with our fireworks display this year, and you could actually tell that the finale was the finale, and it was quite impressive.
Councilmember Moorhead?
Mr. Kennedy, I'd like to liaise for a moment. On a recent email I received regarding the disc golf course, it stated that there was only 1 submission for the RFQ. Was that, do you have an idea of why we only had 1? Is it because they're just such a unique kind of system to put into place? Were the parameters of the RFQ not sufficient? Do you have kind of some input on that?
When we put that out, for the RFQ for disc golf design, we received 1 response, and we had a very limited amount of funds for that, and they came back with $40,000 to do for design services. The park board talked it over. We were very fortunate to have Eric Eastwood on the park board. Eric is actually a professional disc golf player. He plays in tournaments all over the Midwest and even the country. And so he has great knowledge, and he was fortunate to know a couple gentlemen that were willing to help him lay out the course, design the course. So we didn't end up spending anything for the design of the course. But to get back, I guess, to your question, I talked to several vendors after the fact, and we had identified 3 designers in the Kansas City area, and out of those 3, none of them submitted. And we were very disappointed, because they knew the limits of our budget for the design, felt that it was more than adequate for what we were calling for, but unfortunately none of them were able or neglected to submit for that RFQ.
As a follow-up, and I appreciate Mr. Eastwood stepping up and helping with that. Now, the course designed is, since one of the goals was to make this a possible place for competitive tournaments, is it a regulation size course?
Yes, It has 18 holes. In fact, it has 20 holes. It also has 2 extra practice baskets that will be located on site. The front 9 will be located in the recreation park area. Most of the back 9 is in Moon Valley Park, and that will be very challenging because they are going to incorporate it into the wooded areas of the park. So between the two, I think we have a great area in the front that will still be a little challenging, but will, for the more novice type players, you won't lose so many discs. But that back 9 is going to be very challenging. So I feel comfortable that yes, we have a very good design.
Other questions to staff? Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to follow up with a couple of dates for council consideration. Reminder that the joint meeting with Peculiar and the county and the school district is Wednesday, August 20th at 6:30. You can just let the city clerk know if you're planning on attending. And the budget work session, as promised last week, I'll be hitting the council on this one every single time we meet. Budget work session will be Saturday, August 16th at 8 a.m. here in the city council chambers, and the public is invited. Last but not least, you may notice that it's very quiet in here. Our new thermostat has been installed, and so my initial draft plan tonight is to drive the temperature down before the council meeting to a comfortable level, cut the entire air conditioning and the fan unit so it's not in the background, and see if we can make it through the council meeting before the unit needs to turn back on. It's currently set at 71. So when we get to about 72 degrees, you may hear it come back on and you'll notice a big difference. Right now, the sound problems from ambience are the fact that we do not yet have the acoustical panels, so you're probably hearing my voice bounce a lot more than before. That concludes staff reports.
All right, thank you. Questions of staff, Councilmember Westcott?
Well, I would just say we'll try to do our part to keep the temperature down by limiting the amount of hot air that we release.
We have a dais inhabited by politicians. I rest my case on the amount of hot air that will be generated. We do have a committee report this evening. Councilmember Kellogg?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Pleased to give this report tonight. We, the Roundabout Subcommittee, that's myself, Mr. Westcoat, and Ms. Abdelgawad, met with the design architect that we asked to come and share with us, Ursula Herr. Mr. Corey Schultz was here tonight, and I'm pleased to announce that we are going to be going forward with having him come back to the council, full council, with the approval of a contract this next council meeting. Next council meeting, correct? So expect that, and hope to see everybody there, and things are moving forward.
Right. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to dispose the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented to include item A, City Council minutes from June 23rd, 2014, and item B, the acceptance of public improvements for Cornerstone Academy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Move on to unfinished business. And the first business of unfinished business is the veto of Resolution 1439. Is there a motion to override the veto?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 1439 overriding the veto of the mayor regarding the council liaison to the park board.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Moorhead.
Obviously, I'll go ahead and start since I'm one of the biggest proponents of this. First of all, I want to note that I'm completely supportive and understanding of the mayor's veto of this. It was a completely appropriate action. I have no problems with that. I disagree with some of the rationale the mayor provided in his written statement. I respect the mayor for it, just disagree with it. My position with this, and the reason why I've been so supportive of this, is the desire for us to create better communication with the park board. All of us have spoken out very highly and supportive of the park board, but keeping in perspective that we get citizens' tax dollars, and then we hand a lot of money over the park, and citizens have the right to know how that money's being spent and what's being done. The intention here was just to create better communication. I understand we get information from them, but information and communication are two totally different things. To get emails and documents that you can't ask questions about versus communication where there's a reasonable exchange are two totally different things. In my opinion, the opposition of this is we're going to get where we want to get. I will say whether we approve this or not. Now, obviously, the opponents are going to make us walk a mile to go 10 feet, but I promise you I'm willing to walk the mile. So I'm still going to reach out to the park board. I'm still going to communicate and pay attention and attend park board meetings. But in this particular instance, we had a strong council support for this. And strangely enough, only Ward 4 seems to have a problem with this. The two council members were from Ward 4, the mayor's from Ward 4, and the park board chairman opposition to this is Ward 4. I don't know what the east side of town has against this, but ultimately, I will say this. Again, I'm still going to reach out and communicate with the park board. Good things are still going to come from this. I encourage council members, if they do wish to vote for this, since I've been the strongest advocate, I have to push this forward. But if other members don't, I do feel we do need to move on. We have other things to accomplish here. And obviously the opposition has been successful in making this out to be a big deal. I just feel very strongly about this. Again, I'm going to vote to because of my conviction, but however we vote, I support.
Councilmember Kubak?
I wanted to make one comment. I think we need to straighten out. The council is not giving the park board a lot of that money. The park board has its own levy, which the people have approved, and it goes straight to them. It has to go to be in the books and accounted for by the city. But this money is the park board's money that the people of Raymore have given to them directly to use for as they see fit in the operation of the park board. So I want to make sure that you understand. What I understand that we give them in the way of funds has to do with grounds and buildings. And we pay them so much money to look after that. When I did some research on this, I found that very few parks actually had to take care of buildings and grounds. They usually went to, excuse me, Public Works. So instead of having another level of oversight over them, I think we need to take a look at the duties that we have given to the park board and make sure that they are in line with the duties that they're supposed to have. So I am opposed to overriding the veto. And as far as Ward 4, I can say this. If Ward 3 and 2 and 1 are having trouble filling their positions, you can always come to 4 because we've got people that are willing to serve on the park board. Thank you.
Other comments? All right, there's a motion and a second. Oh, Councilmember Holman?
I just thought it appropriate. I thought that Councilman Kellogg's comments from when we voted on this the first time were very apropos. For those of you that weren't here, his research had indicated when this position was eliminated in 2009, there was as much contention about as eliminating that position then, am I correct, Councilman Kellogg, as there is about revitalizing it now. So it's interesting how just a matter of about 5 years can certainly change our position, and both times it seems that there are people that really feel like this is going to be the doomsday of the city. I think along the lines of Councilman Moorhead, we'll get it done either way, but I also think it just helps communication and cohesiveness, and it helps us get to where we're wanting to go faster and a smoother route.
Yeah, I would add that there was a lot of discussion, but the end vote was 6 in favor of getting rid of the liaison and 2 against. Other discussion? Councilmember Abdel-Gawad?
Just a quick question, and I'm not sure who to direct this to, maybe someone in favor of this. You continually are saying that this is going to improve communication, and I'm wondering how. I'm wondering what kind of information this liaison person is going to give the council that Mr. Kennedy is not already giving us?
Councilmember Moorhead?
I'll go ahead and answer that. While we did receive a memo regarding the disc golf course, I don't recall any other council members actually being aware, paying a close enough attention to the results of the RFQ, and that Mr. Eastwood, a board member of there, has had to step up and take care of that. That is not a criticism, by the way, of the park board, but this is the type of information that's a little deeper than what we normally go through. Now, Mr. Kennedy gives us a nice staff report, but I mean, short of us turning the staff report into a 15-minute conversation every public meeting, that was the information. So we even demonstrated tonight that there was a deeper amount of information that could have been had.
Councilmember Delgado?
You might assume that no one knew that information, but quite honestly, I did know that information because as a member of the community and as a member of the council, I had reached out to Mr. Eastwood to find out about the disc golf. He and I had quite an extensive conversation actually at the mayor's volunteer breakfast about it. He showed me the map of where all of the baskets are going to be. I had read the park board reports from their minutes that said that they had an RFQ that they turned down because it was so much more than they expected, and that actually Mr. Eastwood was going to be designing the course. That's been in their minutes. It's been in information we've gotten from the park board in our packets. And then as I stated at the last meeting, and will state again, if you want more information, you have to go get it. I don't think one of us sitting in the park board meetings is going to give information to the council in a successful way, any more information than what the park director himself is responsible for giving us.
Other comments? Councilmember Hubach?
Is the liaison expected to take part in the discussions, or is he just there to listen? And what about when they go into executive sessions? Is the liaison considered a part that he can go into the closed sessions too? I mean, there has to be some guidelines. We are just nitpicking the park department all the time. The state statutes, Chapter 90, spells out exactly what they are supposed to do. And until we as a council are willing to let them do the job that the state statute says they're supposed to do, I don't think we have any right to gripe about what we know or what we don't know.
Other comment? All right, there is a motion and a second to override the veto and approve Resolution 1439. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In opposition? 1, 2, 3. The motion fails. We'll move on to the second item this evening. This is a motion, is there a motion to reconsider Bill 2971?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2971.
I need a motion to reconsider first.
Oh, actually, that would fall to me too. Your Honor, I move that we reconsider the ruling regarding Bill 2971.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to reconsider Bill 2971. Councilmember Westcott.
Mr. Mayor, my opinion on this is, I've made it very clear and it's well known, so I won't be taking part in this vote.
Right. Other discussion? All in favor for reconsideration? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The bill is going to be reconsidered. I'll entertain a motion to approve the second reading of Bill 2971.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2971, the transferee agreement regarding Ridgeway Villas.
I second it.
Do I need to have another reading of the bill itself? May we have a reading of the bill by title only?
The second reading of Bill 2971 by title only, an ordinance approving a transferee agreement between the City of Raymore, Missouri and Ridgeway Villas at the Legends LP.
Thank you. We have a reading, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0 with 1 abstention. The bill is approved. Yes.
I'm gonna challenge the chair on that. Is that an abstention, or is Mr. Westcoat recused
Well,
himself? Is that an abstention, or is that something else?
An abstention is a non-vote. Since he didn't vote, it's an abstention.
I guess my question would be is, and no slight or slam to you, Mr. Westcoat, but if a member is absent from the Diaz, regardless if they recuse themselves or not, if they're absent in person for the whole meeting, is that an abstention on their part, or is that?
No, they would not be in the meeting at that point.
Okay.
Move on to the liquor license renewal. Do we open with a staff report on this? Okay, let's open with a staff report.
Thank you. At the June 23rd, 2014 City Council meeting, Council deferred action on the request from Warren Wiseman, WW Grill, doing business as Oliver's Pizza, for the renewal of their 2014-2015 liquor license. The item is before Council for consideration tonight. Should Council have any questions or need further information on a staff report, the City Attorney is available to answer those.
Okay. Councilmember Westcott?
Did the applicant present a clear title or a clear lease that is uncontested by the parties?
The 5-year lease was initially presented at the time of the application renewal. We heard testimony from the landlord at the first hearing of this, of the landlord's representative, Ms. O'Malley, that it is contested whether that lease is currently in good standing, and she produced notices of termination to you since that time. And I indicated the options there, that we're not here to rule the validity of the lease, and you had options of deferring it, approving the license, or denying it. And since that time, it's my understanding that no additional evidence has been presented by the applicant or the landlord to us to enlighten you further on this issue.
Would any member of the council like to make a motion to do something with this? We'll try. Would a member of the council like to defer this again? Would a member of the council like to approve this? And I'm running out of options here. Would a member of the council like to deny the liquor license?
Is it okay to make the motion in the form of a negative at this point, sir?
Yes, sir.
I move that we deny the liquor license for WW Grill, doing business as Oliver's Pizza.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the liquor license to WW Grill. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Whoop, I missed one. Where? Oh, sorry. You gotta put it up higher. I'm blind in this eye.
Thank you. I'm worried. I still feel like we're getting in the middle of a civil matter. So I wonder if my hesitation is the same as everyone else's hesitation to do anything with this, because I feel like I'm in the middle of something that the council shouldn't be in the middle of. So I would like some direction from our attorney.
Under the liquor code, section 600.050 paren 2, the council has discretion, and under Missouri case law interpreting these sections, the council has discretion with respect to the renewal of a liquor license. One's not entitled to one as a automatic right or as a constitution. It's not just purely ministerial as it is in many other kinds of licenses, like the business license, for example, and some others are much more ministerial than this. Here there are factors you can consider, such as whether you think the issuance of the license is in the best interest of the locale of the proposed business, whether the applicant is of good moral character, native-born citizen, a registered voter and tax-paying citizen of the city, whether heretofore there had been any problems or the license had been revoked within 2 years of the application, or whether the applicant had been convicted of a crime. I haven't heard evidence in that first hearing that rose to the level of the latter, that there had been either the conviction of a crime or any allegations or actions that would revoke the license in how they operated it. On the other hand, the issue that the first that our clerk looks at first is, do you have a valid lease and have you met your requirements? Those were met at the time of application, but now the lease has been thrown into question and there has been evidence presented to you about substantial delinquent payment of rent with respect to that. If under those facts you are exercising your discretion that you don't think it's in the best interests of the citizen to have the locale of this license renewed at this locale, you could so exercise that discretion. But you are correct, Ms. Abdelgouad, and in my opinion, we're not making a final decision about the validity of that lease. One was presented and now its validity has been questioned, and the final determination of that would be in either the Associate or Circuit Court of Cass County, not here. But it is totally your purview to renew the license under or not under the factors I've just outlined to you. So I assume Councilman Westcoat would speak to that and indicate what factors he thinks, or that there's something here with respect to this application that he doesn't think is in the best interests of the community, is why he's moving to deny.
Councilmember Kellogg, Moorhead, and then Holman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When we deferred this at our last meeting, failed to act on it, I asked a question when it expired, and I believe the answer was the 1st of this month. Am I correct? I'm getting nods down to you. Am I right?
That is correct.
So currently, right now, this business does not have a current alcohol license. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, that leads me into my next question. What would the differences be? Would there be any legal differences of denying a liquor license opposed to not approving a liquor license? Because right now, the business owner does not have a liquor license. The business owner is not here to contest anything, and to either contest or support his case. You know, are we opening up a can of worms of unintended consequences of a reverse action rather than just not approving a new liquor license?
Well, I read that to be the action that Councilmember Westcoat was recommending, that we deny the application, which is the same effect of not granting a renewal of this liquor license.
Wait a minute, not other questions. We get Moorhead and then Holman.
Councilmember Kellogg mentioned this, and I'll follow up. So the applicant is not here tonight? Okay. Mr. Willerth, one of the just concerning things that I've been told over the last 2 weeks is that that this tenant has continued to operate his pizza place, which he can. This is just for the liquor portion. But I've been told that he has been allowing people to come in and bring their own beer into this premises. Or is there any concern that we should have over that if that were true?
It should not be being sold on site. I
haven't had any complaints to that. We would have to check with the state liquor control. Maybe Ms. Zimmerman, Chief Zimmerman can answer the questions, but I do not have the answer.
If the person's over 21 and in lawful possession.
We've actually had a conversation with the tenant there, but haven't had any complaints. We've gone in and done a variety of checks over the past 2 weeks after the liquor license expired. So we haven't had any complaints or any knowledge of anyone bringing liquor into the premises. We know he's not selling.
Councilmember Holman.
Mr. Willerth, what's the process if we were to deny this liquor license?
Well, and that's a very good point. We're not revoking. The existing license expired July 1. So your action tonight is whether or not you're granting a new license And so the answer is if you do not, which I assume the effect of this motion to be, then there won't be a liquor license issued by the city clerk to the premises for this year unless there's a change or a new application brought back and some change of facts.
That was my question. Are there any regulations, or what are the regulations if he wanted to reapply for a new license in, say, 2 weeks or a month?
I mean, as long as he provided the materials that are required by city code, I would bring it back to you for consideration at that time.
Thank you. Given that we let everybody make their case at the last meeting, we followed a form of due process. I think everybody was very well aware of what was at stake here. We deferred the motion to tonight. The applicant has chosen not to come forward and give us any new information or even a status update as to where he's at. I feel that it's prudent in our best interest to deny the application.
Councilmember Westcoat?
You know, the issue that I have with this is that our municipal code clearly states that it has to have a bona fide lease duly executed by the lessor. And, you know, we have the landlord that has come to us and says that the lease has been invalidated, that it's been broken, that, you know, it's no longer standing. So the way that I read it, a bona fide lease is legally standing, and that is in question. And until that is rectified, I don't feel that it's in the city's best interest to move forward.
Councilmember Hubach?
If the business has no place to do business, then I can't see why we would issue a liquor license to a non-existing spot.
They still have a business license there. They still are in that location. What's before council this evening is whether or not to approve the renewal of the liquor license.
Well, approval depends upon them having a location, and as I understood from the last meeting, there was no location. They were in violation of their lease, therefore they had no place to go.
That's what's being contested by the landlord and the leasing.
And since we aren't involved in that, I'm thinking that we should probably just go ahead and table it for a while until it is.
Well, we have a motion.
But you're not gonna do that. You don't want to.
I asked for a number of different things that the council could do. I believe it was Councilmember Westcoat that made motion to deny the license. I didn't write down who seconded it. Thank you. Councilmember Holman seconded it. Is there any other discussion?
We are basically just deciding whether to issue a liquor license. That's all we're gonna decide.
That's right.
We're not involving ourselves in any landlord, tenant.
That's correct.
All right, then. I can go ahead with that.
Okay, Councilmember Moorhead.
In light of a response from the room, I have a question to clarify. Is this an open public meeting? Have we closed the public comment on this?
We close, my recollection is, and city clerk can back me on this, that you closed the public hearing and testimony in the last meeting. So if you are going to take anything from anyone, you're going to need to have a motion to reopen the public hearing if you're going to take testimony from outside staff inquiry, which is all that's gone on here so far.
Other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the liquor license renewal. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to the second reading of Bill 2977 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 2977 by title only. An ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri approving the final plat for Meadowood of the Good Ranch Third Plat, lots 86 through 113, and tracts A, B, and C, a subdivision in Section 20, Township 46 North, Range 32 West in Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 2977?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2977, Meadowood of the Good Ranch, third and final plat.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the second reading of Bill 2977. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Hubar?
I'd like to have my memory refreshed on this. Excuse me. Are they going to be giving any money in lieu of parkland on this? 'Cause each time we have a subdivision that comes before us, we've always had them do that. And I haven't heard anything on this recently. So I'm just asking for clarification. Has money in lieu of land been given to the park board on this subdivision, on any of these?
Mr. Fearborn?
Thank you, sir. I'll call Mr. Catteret.
The Meadowood is part of the Good Ranch master plan community, and the Good Ranch has dedicated the required, or will be dedicating the required amount of parkland. So this is not a fee in lieu subdivision. They have met the requirement through parkland dedication.
Thank you. Other discussion?
But they haven't given it yet. It's just talking, right? But has any land actually been given for this, for the
Yeah,
park?
Land has been dedicated to the city in the Good Ranch subdivision, yes.
It has been dedicated, all
Yes,
right.
Not all that's required has been dedicated yet, but some land has been dedicated.
All right. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Motion carries unanimously. Move on to Bill, second reading of Bill 2979 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 2979 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Campione Interior Solutions to provide and install City Hall carpeting for an amount not to exceed $73,980, and authorizing the acting city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2979, the award of contract for the City Hall carpet replacement.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the second reading of Bill 2979. Is there any discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Motion carries unanimously. We have the second reading of Bill 2975 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 2975 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Mission Electronics, Inc. to provide purchase and installation of acoustical sound panels in the council chambers for an amount not to exceed $26,868, and authorizing the acting city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 2975?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2975, the award of contract for the City Council Chambers acoustic panel installation.
I
Second.
second it.
Stereo.
The record shall show that Councilmember Hubach seconded the motion.
Absolutely, I heard everything that was going on.
There is a motion and a very vigorous second to approve the second reading of Bill 2975. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. The second reading of Bill 2978 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 2978 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the fiscal year 2014 capital budget.
We have a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 2978.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2978, amending the fiscal year 2014 capital budget.
And I second it.
There is a motion and a second to approve the second reading of Bill 2978. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. The second reading of Bill 2976 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 2976 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Video Services America to purchase video server equipment for an amount not to exceed $10,355, and authorizing the acting city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 2976.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2976, award of bid for the media room video server.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve the second reading of Bill 2976. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. May we have the second reading of Bill 2980 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 2980 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending Section 500.175B of Chapter 500, Building Regulations of the Raymore City Code.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 2980.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2980, amendment to Chapter 500 Building Code, dealing with fire protection of floors.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the second reading of Bill 2980. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And that takes care of old business, and we'll move on to new business. Beginning with the first reading of Bill 2981 by title only.
The first reading of Bill 2981 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri approving an agreement with Dana F. Cole and Company, LLP, CPAs, for the 2014 annual audit of financial statements with extensions for the 2015 and 2016 audits.
Staff report, please.
Thank you, sir. The Government Finance Officers Association has long recommended that state and local government entities obtain independent audits of their financial statements each year. Governmental entities should undertake, each time the contract with your current audit firm comes to a conclusion, should undertake a full-scale competitive process for the selection of those audit firms. Government entities should enter into multi-year agreements while obtaining services of the independent auditors. And one of the reasons for the competitive requirement that is in there is, you'll all remember from Sarbanes-Oxley, it's especially now prevalent that you want to at least be looking at the firm that you're using, make sure that they're competitive, make sure that they're keeping in compliance with your purchasing policies. After all, they're auditing them. In June, staff did complete the process for issuing a request for proposals for audit services for the 2014 fiscal year with renewal options for the following 2 years. Staff posted the RFP on the city's website, advertised in the paper of record, as well as mailed an invitation of bid to local CPA firms who were qualified. 4 firms submitted proposals. Following background checks on all the firms, it was determined by staff that any of the firms were qualified to perform the audit. Firms have returned the following pricing to perform the work listed in the scope of services, and that is, of course, listed within the City Council's packet. Based on working with Dana F. Cole for the past 5 years to develop the award-winning CAFR that we currently have, and the firm's previous work with city staff and their pricing received, staff does recommend award of these services to Dana F. Cole and Company as the best and lowest firm responding. That concludes staff reports, sir.
Questions of staff? Councilmember Kellogg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I read through the agenda, when I received it, I saw this was the first thing on the new business, and not that I have some concerns, but I have been a proponent of opening contracts and competitive bids in many different areas. So I did call Mr. Feuerborn and asked him when was the last time that we had a different auditor, and he did a very good job of answering my questions, and rest assured, you know, that these here are always competitively sent out, and which is the case now. We had 4 bids come back. I support this, and I'm going to vote for this, but I also want to put out there that I still think it's a good idea to seek out competitive bids, not only in this contract, but in all of our contracts. But let's also start looking towards the future, because there's a certain, the term that came to my mind that I'm concerned about is a healthy skepticism. You know, I know staff doesn't like to bring in new auditors and such, but I think that it is healthy and wise and prudent after so many years of a relationship with an auditor to kind of step back away from that, to maintain that healthy skepticism and bring in some new perspectives or new eyes on the books. I guess that's what I would add to this discussion, is that, you know, so let's, in the future, let's look at that aspect and see if, you know.
Is there a question of staff in there?
Nope,
Okay.
more of a comment, thank you.
Well, we're questioning staff right now, and then we'll get to the comment portion. Councilmember Westcott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we always get the same person auditing the city, or do they rotate through their staff that does the audit?
Nearly all of the staff has turned over in the 5 years. We had the original lead, Kim, who makes the presentation to you all each year. He was the original lead, and then he dropped off. He has since come back as the lead manager. If I could dovetail off of that, because that's a very good question, and it is one of the things that they look at to make sure that different staff are coming in and reviewing everything that's being looked at. As I had explained to Councilmember Kellogg when he did make contact, a couple of significant items, because I actually serve on the audit review committee for MARC, because they get audited every single year. And am very much a proponent of turning over your audit firm just because they're your audit firm, and they know that's coming. You may remember that when we started with this audit firm, we didn't have the CAFR award, which it takes a great deal of work, not only on the part of city staff, but you have to work very, very closely over a period of several weeks each year with your audit firm, and they've kind of brought us to a level where we're getting the award. We've still got some work to do, specifically on our component units, the districts that we have to audit to make sure that they're brought into that fold as well. We'd like to stay with this firm to get us over that hump because they've been working with us in the past to get there. The other item that's probably even larger than that is, you may remember each year when Dana Cole makes the presentation to you all, we always have that exception. Even though we receive what used to be called an unqualified opinion, now it's called fair and balanced opinion or something like that. There's an exception out there because they actually make our final journal entries for us. They review our books, and we're down to 7 of those, I believe. 4 of those that we want to get wiped off the books. They're all associated with debt service, which is really tough to look at. It's going to take us a couple of years to get there, but at that point, we will have no exceptions in our audit, which specifically means they've worked hard enough with us that our staff is actually completing the entire financial statement view that you all see. The book that you get is completely compiled by staff. All they're doing is looking at it and saying, this represents fairly exactly what we're seeing. We didn't make any journal entries in this. And then we're already to the point where 3/4 of our component units, we're doing that for ourselves. They're bringing us to the point where 100% of our component units, all the districts will be internally audited, which will also be a money savings, I might add.
Other questions of staff? I'll entertain a motion to dispose of the first reading of Bill 2981.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2981, award of contract for auditing services.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the first reading of Bill 2981. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We have the first reading of Bill 2982 by title only.
The first reading of Bill 2982 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Bright Construction, Inc. for Owen Good Force Main Point Repair Project, City Project Number 14-197-201, in the amount of $31,880, and authorizing the acting city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. Staff report?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Mr. Krass.
Thank you, Mr. Fairborn, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. In 2012, the city conducted a condition analysis of the Owen Good Force Main, which did an inspection of the main from the lift station at 195th Street all the way to the discharge point at 58 Highway. If you recall, the report identified a significant amount of force main that needed to be replaced south of Hubach Hill Road, and that work has been accomplished. The investigation also identified 2 point repairs or areas of other potential leaks in north of Lucy Webb Road. This contract addresses those. The budget for the project was $20,000. The low bid was from Bright Construction in the amount of $31,880. We talked to Bright about why the difference between our estimate and what their bid was, and one of the repairs is located fairly close to a house at 700 Shoreview Drive. They are going to have to use some other, rather than just conventional open trenching, they're going to have to use some shoring and some other methods to protect the integrity of that home as they're excavating near it, and that's reflected in their bid price. And so we do recommend award of the contract to Bright Construction.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Councilmember Holman? And
Mr.
thank you
Kress,
for putting your hand up where I could see it. Other people are just doing this.
I try my best. I'm a lot shorter than Councilman Moorhead. Mr. Kress, would you mind just giving me kind of a 30-second or whatever you need thumbnail sketch of, obviously we need repair. What was the cause? Was it age or was it something else? And is this something that we see routinely or we're going to see again? What would be the life of the repair expected? Just a little bit of background.
What we saw with the major repair was the ductile iron main was buried in reactive soils, so it was corroding from the outside in. Here, we don't really have a reason. Sometimes the main rests on a rock and it moves around a little bit, and that's pretty much indicative of what is coming back from the data. So it's a very small area of repair. However, when we've done test holes, the data that was gathered is very accurate. So the repair, it should last the rest of the service life of the main.
Thank you, sir.
Other questions for staff? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to dispose of the first reading of Bill 2982.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2982, the award of contract for the Owen Good Force Main point repair.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve the first reading of Bill 2982. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And that moves us to the first reading of Bill 2983 by title only.
The first reading of Bill 2983 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the fiscal year 2014 capital budget.
Staff report, please.
Thank you, sir. I'll call Mr. Krass.
Thank you, Mr. Fairborn. Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is a companion to the previous action council just took. As we discussed, the original budget for the project was $20,000. We are requesting a budget amendment to cover the additional cost of the contract and provide for a contingency amount, which would bring the total estimated cost of the project to $35,068.
Questions of staff? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to dispose of the first reading of Bill 2983.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 2983, the budget amendment for the Owen Good Force Main point repair.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the first reading of Bill 2983. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. That takes care of new business. Move on to public comments. If there's anybody in the public who would like to come forward, speak, identify yourself for the record and keep your comments to 5 minutes.
Know me by now. I'm Leila Grubel with North Star Housing, LLC. We're the developers on the Ridgeway Villas project. I wanted to personally thank each and every council member who's been supportive of us over our last year in pursuing this matter. I've sat through a year's worth of city council meetings and had our character attacked, our professionalism attacked, and we've said nothing. We've tried to be professional. We've tried to be very upfront and honest and give you everything we could possibly give you about this development and this deal. Full disclosure, more so than more developers would come to this council and give you. And with that, I just want to say that it deeply concerns me that on June 9th, this council could vote 7-1 in favor of the transfer agreement, and 2 weeks later, on June 23rd, vote 4-3 with one absent against this measure with absolutely no discussion amongst the city council or responding to our questions as to why the agreement was denied. I regret that we had to get our attorney involved to bring this back before council, but I am pleased to see that we can now move forward. And I just wanted to make that for the public record. Since we've been attacked, I thought we had should have a chance to at least explain ourselves or justify our actions. Thank you.
Evening, Mayor, Council, City. I'm Tom Circo. Most people know me. I've owned an insurance agency here in town 13 years with farmers, and I've done a lot, and I have a question, but I want to say something before the question. I have done a lot with the community. I love the community. I've been with the city, with the Chamber of Commerce, 11 to 12 years. I've been an officer I've worked hard with the businesses, with the city, economic staffing, meeting with them. I've done a lot of charitable work. I'm very up to date with the city. I'm always working hard. 3.5 years ago, my wife and I chose to move here to put that cherry on the top of the cake to say we're residents here, besides everything else I do. I run a very prominent and exclusive and very growing business. And for years, I've had my application in to try to be on a park board or a zoning board. And I've always been very active. I got my oldest daughter here. 2 of my grandkids have graduated. My youngest daughter is now moving here. My niece owns a daycare across by Price Chopper. So I have a lot invested in the city of Raymore. My business, my family, thousands of insureds. But with all that said, and I've worked so hard, and I feel I'm a very positive icon into the city as a business leader, the chamber, and it eludes me because for years I've been trying to get on the park board. And last year, Councilman Moore had asked me if you're still interested, and I said yes. He said, well, we'll get working to get your name to the mayor. And then about a month and a half go by, I hear nothing, so I go to the mayor, and he says, I haven't got your names. I've got to have your name by both councilmen in writing. So I go back to the councilman, and Mr. Moorhead, as a positive, says, get your name in. I go to Councilman Westcoat, and I say, in November, the mayor's waiting for my name so he can have an opportunity if I can get on the board. He says, you haven't given it. Why? He said, I'm not going to. I said, why? He said, a few years ago, I had submitted your name to the mayor, and then you turn around and denied it and walked away and didn't take the job. I said, well, you know why? He goes, no. I said, well, I was running a heavy race for the North Commissioner job, and I owned my insurance company, and I knew if I worked for a few months, I'd have to quit because I was going to be too busy. And out of respect for the park board and the city, the mayor and I decided that'd be a better thing not to take it because I was so busy running for North Commissioner. He said, I didn't know that. I said, well, that's what happened. This is in November. This is July now. It's 8 months later. I've asked the mayor. I've gone to the people. No one, Councilman Westcoat, my question is, he does not give my name to the mayor. He's my councilman in Ward 2 along with Moorhead. But the mayor says I got to have both your names submitted to him before he can even reconsider my name for the park board. Last week I get from the mayor, sends out another email. Anybody from Ward 2 would love to be on the park board. Anybody, tell your councilman, I'd love to have your name. I'm thinking, Jenny's had my application for years. Ask me every year, do you want to keep it active? I say yes. Now, no one wants to put my name, and I have no idea why. I don't know what I can possibly have done with the community and still do and love the community. So my question would be more to Councilman Westcoat, since Councilman Moorhead said he would put my name up, but he still won't, and I do not know why you will not put my name to the mayor for park board.
It's not,
I'd actually like to answer that.
well, you can answer that during the mayor-council communication.
Fair enough, sir.
Well, so that's what I presented. So I feel Stonewall is a leading businessman in the community. I work hard. Why can I not have an answer, except you have to have the, do this, do that, but the mayor says I can't help you till the 2 councilmen give me your name. So if one says he will give, but one never gives it, then my question as a business, as a citizen of the city who's trying to get on the park board, Ms. Hubach says she got a lot of people in Ward 4. Well, I'm in Ward 2 and I've been trying for a long time, and they keep on sending emails out asking that question. Anybody in Ward 2 want to be on this park board? I do. So I just like to have an answer. Why, if I can't get an answer, I'd like to know why I can't get an answer, why my city councilman will refuse to put my name to the mayor. I think I'm entitled to that. So, do I not get an answer tonight, or do I not find out why?
Well, during mayor-council communication, Councilmember Westcoat said that he'll make comments, so that's when you'll receive your answer.
But he'll directly tell me why? So I'd like to know, because I don't see anything that's redundant in my past that I do, that I wouldn't warrant a position in the city as far as I work. So that's why I came here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come forward? See nobody come forward, we'll close the public comment and move on to mayor-council communication using my handy-dandy list of random council members. Beginning this evening with Councilmember Boehner. You get to go first.
And I have no comment
this evening. Councilmember Abdel Gawad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't take much time, but because I spend most of the year talking about Relay for Life when it's my turn to talk up here, I always feel like I need to wrap it up and tie it with a pretty bow at the end. I just wanted to let everyone know that The RAPEC Relay for Life this year raised almost, at last count, and it's still going, but almost $22,000 for the American Cancer Society this year. And I just want to take a second again to talk about what an awesome accomplishment that is. This is the second year that we've done the RAPEC Relay for Life at RAPEC High School. The event is 100% except for me and the one employee of the American Cancer Society, planned and put on by a group of kids from the high school. And it's a community event. I didn't get a number from Cole, one of the co-chairs, about how many people were actually there this year, but it's an awesome event, great fun for families. Our police department had a group there, the Fire Pups, which has some other city employees and members from the families from the fire department were there this year. Lots of groups from the high school and other people from the community. So keep your eye out. We kind of make it a year-round thing. We'll start planning for the one for next summer here pretty soon. If you're interested in being on the planning committee, feel free to send me an email or give me a call. We'd always love to have more help from businesses in the community, people in the community that would like to help plan, and we're always looking for team leaders to start a team and walk with your friends and or family coworkers at the event and help raise money for the American Cancer Society. And also I wanted to let Mr. Kennedy know I got great reviews on the fireworks. I echo your thanks to all the people involved. I know you're not the only one that works for that event. It takes a lot of people, but everyone who I talked to about it, even if they weren't in the park and neighboring communities, which is where I usually am, in the neighborhood, not in the park, excellent reviews. Everyone loved it.
Thank you. Councilmember Westcott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start off by answering Mr. Circo's question. Mr. Circo came to us during the school road discussion and came to the podium and actually made the statement that hundreds of his insureds had had accidents on School Road. So I called his regional office to fact check to see if that were that were in fact true. I was told that that statement was greatly exaggerated. So again, when you come before the body and you greatly exaggerate, it doesn't inspire confidence. Then I tried to appoint Mr. Circo before, and he's answered that the reason that he did not accept the position was that he was running for North Commissioner. The challenge is that race was decided in August. Councilmember Cox and I actually moved his name forward in November or October or November of that year. So 3 to 4 months after the race. So again, when I asked him why he had turned it down before, he did not tell me the truth. Now, had he told me the truth, it might have been a little bit different. Now, I could go into personal issues and comments that Mr. Circo has made that to other constituents that have gotten back to me is the reason why I have deemed him unfit to serve. But that is actually the situation. And we have made it a recommendation and for appointment to the Ward 2 representative for Park Board. That's all I have.
Councilmember Holman, you're next.
Thank you,
So we
Mr.
don't
Mayor.
even go in alphabetical order, it's random.
Not much, just I want to express my appreciation for staff. I know it varies from week to week, but this has been a bit of a trying week as evidenced by some of the emails that have come out from Mr. Fearborn. We had the power outages, the issues with the HVAC tonight, and obviously tonight's meeting went from, we have some meetings where it's pretty straightforward and all prepared, and tonight there were all kinds of curveballs that came flying, and I'm used to the other boards where staff is all sitting right here in front of us, but actually with council, we have staff in the back, and we have staff against the wall, and we have people that have to move in and out of the building to handle other issues that are going on while the council meeting's going on. You all perform admirably. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the support as council. Thank you very much. You did a good job.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevens?
No comments tonight.
Councilmember Hubach?
No comment.
Councilmember Kellogg?
No comment.
Councilmember Moorhead?
What did I do to get picked last here?
Well, no, it's random.
I figured Wesco
Would you
was
like to
gonna
know
go
where you're
last.
coming next week?
First of all, I have a number of things to bring up. First of all, I want to commend Public Works. They gave a wonderful presentation for the Silver Lake Home Association meeting last Thursday. A young man from there, I was late to the meeting and had to fend for himself, but did a fantastic job. Not only the board, but a number of the residents had given me a lot of feedback after the meeting, and you know, the presentation regarding the sewer work on Johnston Drive that we had a previous work session on was the topic, and the citizens felt well informed and very appreciative of the city communicating with them like that. So I wanted to pass along that commendation. I want to thank Mike and Peggy Phillips for being here. You know, we constantly remind people, if you have issues before the city, you are more than welcome. Please come and talk before us, because this is sometimes the only way we're going to figure out what's going on in your neighborhood. I will say that this issue, Mr. Berlin and I had spoken about this sign issue actually a year ago. The Phillips actually said that they did not want to make a big deal about it, and we're trying to be very cooperative with the neighbors. So there's not the drama that some people may be trying to infer into that. And I appreciate P&Z looking into, just obviously, you know, you never know what's going to pop up in the application of the UDC, and this may be something that P&Z can chew on. Mr. Kennedy, I want to commend all of the Parks Department for baseball this year. It went much better than last year. My son had a wonderful time. I know that I was somewhat concerned about the changeover of the fields. I have to admit, I'm a convert. The baseball diamonds worked out really well. It drained really well, and I want to commend the department for that. The last thing I'm going to say, only because I kind of got brought into it myself, and I'm mildly offended about this, was I was going to pick on Councilmember Westcoat. The reason why it's still cool in here is because he has kept his hot air to a minimum. But in light of the humor of that, the serious last comment, for some reason I got mentioned, and I had actually asked Mr. Serco to leave me out of it. As you could hear from the clarification, the time that he asked to be put on, Mr. Cox was sitting in this seat. I was not on the council at that time, so I'm not a part of that. Now, I will say that Mr. Serco and I spoke. Once I came on the council, I had vacated a planning and zoning seat. I had offered to appoint him for that. He declined that, leaving his political options open, which later turned into a political race against me for this seat. Disregarding that, Mr. Serco and I got along even with that political race, and we've gotten along very well ever since. And he approached me last fall and inquired again about any vacancies. I had indicated a willingness to put him up. As the mayor can attest, I have in writing put his name forward. So I am not a part of any controversy here. I am very concerned about the fact that recently at a political function, I was told this was going to happen tonight for the purpose of trying to badmouth a council member on here who is in a county auditor race, and this was a political stunt. I do not appreciate us being used for political purposes like that. Now, that speaks very clearly to Mr. Serco. That affects our ability and my desire to have him put forward, and I don't like being brought into this political drama. I asked for him not to do it, and he did it nonetheless. He got to speak. I now clarify. So with that being said, I actually withdraw with the mayor, and I will publicly withdraw any appointment desire of Mr. Serco. And Mr. Mayor, that is all I have.
Thank you. Beginning this evening with comments about the farmer's market. That'll be tomorrow, the 15th, and again on Tuesday the 22nd. So both dates will in fact be covered. I do understand my wife has scheduled 75-degree temperatures out there tomorrow, so it looks like we're going to be good. We have been picking up watermelons and tomatoes out there. I think I'll pick up a couple of zucchinis tomorrow. The watermelons we've been picking up, incredibly sweet. So, the Park and Rec calendar is online. I forgot to go out and look at it. I will look at it when I get home tonight. I am sorry. But it is Park and Rec month, so there's a lot of activity going on. Comment about the sound in here. When that thing is not running, it gets really quiet in here. And when it comes on, it sounds like a C-124 revving up. So that's pretty neat. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is like in here with the true acoustical panels up and around. So that ought to be really good. And I believe that's all I get for this evening. Yes. We do have reason to go into executive session to discuss litigation matters as authorized by Section 610.021 Sub 1. I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move into executive session to discuss litigation matters as authorized by 610.021 subsection 1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go into executive session. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Abdul-Gawad,
Yes.
Councilmember Boehner,
Yes.
Councilmember Holman,
Yes.
Councilmember Hubach,
Yes.
Councilmember Kellogg,
Yes.
Councilmember Moorhead,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Westcoat.
Aye.
We will go into executive session. We'll return only to, well, we'll reconvene only to dismiss the main meeting. Thank you, everybody.